So my name is Serhat. I'm mostly in DevOps days events, but I'm very interested in serverless as well. So Opsgenie is an on-call incident management solution for operating always-on services. So what are we doing with serverless? So we spend quite a lot of time developing serverless functions. I'm also kind of a YAML engineer, especially when I'm developing functions. Let's start with defining three important technical things about serverless. So the first one is you don't need to run on many servers anymore. You don't even have access to them. And the second one is scaling is not our problem anymore. At least it shouldn't be. So when your functions start getting more requests, they should start running in parallel. And also they are event-driven, which means they start and stop executing when they are triggered by an event. So what is not serverless? This is also very important. So serverless is not production ready by default. Serverless is not NoOps. Serverless is not secure by default, or simply put it, serverless is not a silver bullet. We all want the same thing, right? Just write code, ship it, and repeat. And that's actually why we try these technologies. But as you know, this is not always the case. So serverless actually removes some of the complexity, but it brings some different challenges. So this is the slightly old but still valid view of Opsgenie serverless architecture, serverless part at least. And the interesting thing here is that the right side is not about the applications, but it's about the tools supporting our applications. So there are plenty of them. And obviously, welcome to the continuous integration and continuous delivery world. So you still need to build your delivery pipeline. It's not changing in serverless environments as well. Some of the steps in this pipeline are easier. Some of the steps will be a little bit more difficult to achieve. And normally we test our code, like we write unit tests, integration, acceptance, security tests, maybe a bunch of other tests. But the value of acceptance and integration tests are higher than ever because there are so many moving pieces in serverless environments. And obviously we deploy our code even with serverless. So we package our code into a format that cloud providers wants. It might be zip format, for example, and we upload it. There are actually different frameworks like AWS SAM or Serverless.js is specifically built for deploying your services. And to be able to upload our code in production, normally we use techniques like blue-green deployment or canary releases. Also, this is applicable within serverless environments as well. So there are supports for aliasing, versioning, specifically helping us use these features as well. This is not a smart thing, right? So I'm assuming you are going to ship your code because you want to build stuff. So you need to be ready for incidents. You're going to have problems. This is why you need observability. So to be able to answer these tough questions you experience in production, you need to understand your systems. And it is not easy in serverless environments currently. And when we talk about observability, we often talk about logging. So logging is relatively easy at first. So you can just write logs and it just appears in the cloud provider's default service. But real life often is not that easy, so you might end up building your own logging infrastructure, like because you want something more capable, like we did. Also, in serverless environments, there's something called, especially in microservices environments, distributed tracing. And because you need visibility between your functions, across your functions, and maybe a bunch of other services you use with, for example, AWS Lambda, you also now need distributed tracing tools. So there are new tools coming like AWS X-Ray, specifically focusing on this problem. And again, fixing it slow is a little bit harder. So normally, cloud providers give you some metrics like error counts, durations. These are great, but they're not enough. You actually need to know what is going on within your functions. And when we encountered this problem, we developed a solution internally. It's now a separate product actually called Tundra here. So I don't want to really talk about this, but the reason there are three important things we need to remember why this is hard. So, because first one is there are too many moving pieces. Like you don't just use AWS, Lambda, you use many other services with it. So you need to know actually how these all things interact. Also, again, we use Java, so normally we could just pass a JVM agent to the application and instrument a lot of things. And now it's not possible because we don't have access to the servers, right? And now it brings additional challenges. And also, even how to send the monitoring data is a discussion point. So if you do it synchronously, then your functions might fail because your HTTP, third-party monitoring system might experience a problem. And also, if you do it asynchronously, this is better for production, but still, there's CloudWatch logs, for example, for AWS. Those are all issues you need to deal with it. And also on-call still exists. So just because you are in serverless, that doesn't mean you're not going to put your people in the on-call schedules. So obviously you will have alerts and on-call people. And we had a talk about this as well. Security is always a must. It's not changing here as well. Maybe sometimes it might look more difficult. So you need to assign still proper roles to your functions. You need to maybe put them in a VPC, restrict access to them, vice versa. Or you need to manage your configs and secret keys. It's not changing here as well. And there's something called Costars, which we experience, especially if you are using a language like Java or .NET. This can be a problem for you. So it simply is, there's a latency caused by container creation underneath. So it's not easy to solve. We have a solution, we open source it, so if you are interested, you can check it out. I'm going to share the presentation afterwards from my Twitter account as well. So don't get me wrong, like, serverless is a great environment to develop certain kinds of applications, but you still need to build your delivery pipeline. You still need observability to be able to cope up with these problems. And it's not no ops, but it's different kind of ops. And the challenges are changing, but DevOps is not going anywhere. And one thing I want to say is that you can outsource some operational concerns with all these shiny tools. It can be AWS, Lambda, whatever you use, but you can't outsource reliability. So you need to own these services, and you need to take care of them. So thank you.